Deep breaths, ragged and heavy, echo in the cramped cabin. Jonathan's thought.
Okay, hold together, Eagle. We've been through worse scrapes than a leaky air tank. But a malfunctioning ascent stage? On the freaking moon? That's a new low, even for this bucket of bolts.
He slams a fist on the console, voice tight with frustration. He glances at the fuel gauge, a grimace twisting his face.
Low on fuel too? Come on, you can't be serious. This wasn't part of the damn plan. We were supposed to be celebrating, not praying for a miracle landing. One small step for man, huh? More like a giant leap into the abyss. Houston, where are you? Radio's deader than a moonrock. Guess it's just me and you, Eagle. You and this silent, unforgiving landscape. Panic won't save us. Not anymore. Years of training, gotta rely on that now. Emergency abort sequence. Let's see what this old bird's got left in her.
He runs a hand through his hair, eyes flicking between the instrument panel and the approaching lunar surface. A flicker of fear crosses his face, quickly replaced by steely resolve. He throws himself into the procedures, his voice a low murmur as he runs through the checklist. A tense silence fills the cabin, broken only by the whirring of the descent engine. He braces himself, a white-knuckle grip on the controls.
Come on, baby. Don't you dare let go.
A shudder. Pain lances through his body, momentarily stealing his breath. Silence. Then, a groan of settling metal. He lets out a shaky breath.
Alive. Still alive. But for how long? Am I alone? Is this it? Stuck here, a million miles from home, with only the ghosts of Neil and Buzz and the cold, dead rock of the moon for company. No. Not giving up. Not yet. There's gotta be a way out of this. There has to be.
He stares at the viewport, a flicker of defiance in his eyes. With a deep breath, Christopher initiated the emergency abort sequence. The lunar landscape lurched towards him through the viewport, growing closer with terrifying speed. A bone-jarring impact sent a jolt of pain through his body. Silence. Then, the groaning of metal as the Eagle settled, dust swirling around the landing gear. He was alive, but alone. The harsh reality slammed into him. The silence confirmed it. The accident must have knocked out their signal. He was stranded, a lone castaway on a desolate world. He checked his vitals, stable. Relief washed over him, short-lived as the enormity of his situation sunk in. The lunar day, a scorching 14 Earth days long, stretched before him. Heat seeped through the thin walls of the Eagle, a relentless oven. He rationed his remaining water, a precious lifeline. The silence was broken only by the rasp of his own breathing. On the second day, driven by a desperate hope, he donned his EVA suit, his movements sluggish with hunger. Stepping onto the moon, he was enveloped in an inky blackness studded with a million pinpricks of light. He planted the American flag, a futile gesture on this alien world, a teardrop rolling down his cheek beneath the visor. Suddenly, a flicker of movement in the distance caught his eye. Not a reflection of starlight, but something that moved with a life of its own. His breath hitched. He aimed his flashlight beam. Two glowing red orbs stared back at him from the inky shadows. Panic surged. He scrambled back to the Eagle, the alien eyes burning into his memory. Fear became his constant companion. Every rustle, every creak of the cooling metal Eagle sent him into a cold sweat. Sleep eluded him. He started hallucinating, seeing shapes in the lunar dust, hearing whispers in the static of the dead radio. On the fifth day, his limited food supply dwindled. He remembered a geological tool kit aboard the Eagle, a faint flicker of hope igniting. Maybe, just maybe, there was ice hidden beneath the lunar surface. Working with feverish desperation, he chipped away at the rock, his heart pounding against his ribs. His efforts were rewarded. A glint of something caught his eye, ice. He extracted a chunk, the cold a searing shock against his gloved hand. It was enough. Enough to survive a few more days, enough to keep hope alive. One night, staring up at the endless tapestry of stars, a new kind of fear gripped him. Not the fear of the unknown, but a chilling certainty. The creatures were multiplying. More eyes gleamed in the distance, a silent, watchful crowd. He clung to the belief that someone, somewhere, was looking for him. He started leaving messages, etching SOS signs on the lunar surface with the geological tool, his lifeline to a world that might have forgotten him. Days bled into weeks. His body grew weak, his resilience stretched to the breaking point. One day, as he lay in his cramped bunk, a sound pierced the silence, a rhythmic thump. His heart leaped. A rescue ship. He stumbled out of the Eagle, his vision swimming. There, hovering above him, bathed in the harsh sunlight, was a spacecraft, unlike anything he had ever seen. It wasn't American. Relief mingled with a new wave of fear. He had traded one unknown for another. A hatch opened, and a figure emerged, tall and slender, with an ethereal glow emanating from its skin. It moved towards him. Christopher braced himself, ready for anything. The alien held out a hand, not threatening, but offering. "We are here to help." A voice resonated in his mind, not spoken aloud but clear as day. Tears streamed down his face, a mixture of exhaustion and relief. He had survived the moon landing gone wrong, only to find a new kind of hope in the vast emptiness of space. Did the aliens rescue him, or was it all the aliens' hand hovered, an invitation in the harsh sunlight? Christopher's mind screamed caution, but his body, starved and exhausted, yearned for relief. He reached out, his gloved hand trembling. Their touch was a jolt, not of pain, but of a warm, tingling sensation. Images flooded his mind, vast, swirling galaxies, advanced technology beyond human comprehension. Then, silence. He blinked, the alien figure gone. Panic seized him. Was this some cruel trick? But then, a low hum filled the air. The alien ship descended, a soft glow emanating from its underside. A ramp extended with a hiss, beckoning him. Hesitantly, Christopher ascended. Inside, the air shimmered with an otherworldly light. He found himself in a sterile, metallic chamber. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and unfamiliar instruments hummed with an unnerving energy. Then, a figure materialized before him, not the slender one from before, but a smaller, more humanoid creature. Its large, black eyes blinked at him, its voice a melodious chirp inside his head.
"Welcome, Christopher, we are the Aethel. We have been monitoring your plight."
You can understand me?
Christopher gaped. The Aethel chirped again.
"We can bridge the gap between minds. Your technology is primitive, but your will to survive is strong."
But why? The creatures, they're coming for me, aren't they?
Relief washed over him, so powerful it threatened to bring him to his knees. A flicker of sadness crossed the alien's features.
"The lumens. They are not hostile, merely curious. They sense your desperation, your fear. But they pose no threat. They are scavengers, drawn to distress. But they wouldn't harm a living being."
Christopher wasn't so sure. He described the glowing eyes in the darkness, the growing number. Despite the alien's words, Christopher couldn't shake off a primal fear of the unknown. Yet, as days turned into a lunar week, he began to understand. The Ethel tended to his needs, offering him strange but nourishing food and a revitalizing sleep unlike anything he'd experienced. He learned their language, a symphony of chirps and clicks that somehow resonated with meaning. One day, as he gazed at Earth, a blue marble hanging in the black void, a pang of longing hit him. "Can't you take me home?" he asked. The Ethel chirped sadly.
Your technology is not compatible for intergalactic travel. But we can offer a glimpse.
It gestured towards a device on the wall, filled with swirling light. Christopher stepped closer, apprehension mingling with a desperate hope. The swirling light solidified, revealing a breathtaking image: Earth, teeming with life, bustling cities adorned with glittering lights. Tears welled up in his eyes. Home.
We can share this technology. Help you advance. But it comes with a condition.
What condition?
You will become an ambassador, a bridge between your world and ours. You will share your knowledge, your history, and in return, we will share ours.
The weight of the decision settled on him. Become a human amongst alien beings, forever separated from his own kind? Or return to Earth, forever haunted by the secrets of the moon and the knowledge of another civilization? He looked back at the blue marble, then at the Ethel's hopeful gaze. He knew, deep down, his decision would change the course of history for both his world and this one. As he stood there, bathed in the otherworldly glow, the story of Christopher, the lone astronaut, became just the beginning. The moon, once a desolate rock, held the key to a future far vaster than anyone on Earth could have imagined. Christopher's gaze lingered on the image of Earth, a bittersweet ache blooming in his chest. The Ethel's proposal resonated with a profoundness that transcended his initial fear. He was a scientist, an explorer at heart. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about discovery, about forging a connection beyond human comprehension. Taking a deep breath, he turned to the Ethel, his voice firm.
I accept. I'll be your ambassador.
A wave of relief washed over the alien, its bioluminescent eyes pulsing a comforting blue. Its chirps, a melody to Christopher's ears now, spoke volumes more than any human language ever could. Days turned into weeks as Christopher immersed himself in the Ethel's knowledge. Their technology, bordering on magic, defied comprehension. He learned of their starships that could traverse galaxies in mere moments and force fields that could repel asteroids with a thought. However, a shadow lurked beneath the Ethel's peaceful facade. Their hushed whispers and stolen glances at the viewport on their shimmering vessel sent a shiver down Christopher's spine. He pressed them one evening, his voice tight with growing unease. The chirps grew frantic, the blue light strobing erratically. Finally, an image flickered into existence on the viewport, a monstrous, jagged ship, closing in fast.
They are the Exer. They have ravaged countless civilizations, consuming entire planets for fuel. We are refugees.
The Ethel chirped, a tremor in its voice. Panic clawed at Christopher's throat. He was stranded on a vessel hurtling through space, caught between a peaceful but defenseless race and a terrifying force of destruction. His mind raced. The Ethel technology was far beyond human comprehension, but maybe, just maybe, there was something he could glean, a hidden weapon or a forgotten defense mechanism. The fate of two species, perhaps even the future of Earth itself, might depend on him deciphering the Ethel's cryptic knowledge before the Exer arrived. Christopher felt a cold sweat prickle his skin. The Exer, a name that echoed in the sterile silence of the Ethel vessel like a death knell. He devoured the information the Ethel offered, his mind a whirlwind as he sifted through alien data streams and indecipherable symbols. The Ethel technology, once a source of awe, now felt like a locked treasure chest, the key tantalizingly out of reach. Days bled into nights as Christopher toiled, fueled by stale rations and the Ethel's anxious chirps. Sleep became a luxury he couldn't afford. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, but it was the gnawing fear that truly threatened to consume him. The viewport displayed the ever-growing monstrosity of the Exer ship, its jagged hull a harbinger of doom. Then, a spark of hope. Deep within a data stream, Christopher stumbled upon a reference to an ether shield. The description was vague, hinting at a defensive mechanism powered by the Aethel's bioluminescent energy. It was a long shot, but it was all they had. "Can you activate it?" he asked, his voice hoarse from disuse. The Aethel's chirps were a frantic melody of worry. "Insufficient energy. Exer too close. Need catalyst." Christopher's heart hammered against his ribs. A catalyst? What could possibly act as a catalyst against such a threat? His eyes darted around the control room, landing on the emergency escape pod nestled in its bay. An idea, desperate but audacious, sparked in his mind. "The escape pod," he rasped, his voice gaining a new edge of determination. "Can't it be modified to channel your energy?" The Ethel chirped in confusion, but the urgency in Christopher's voice seemed to resonate. A tense silence followed, broken only by the whirring of the ship's systems and the approaching Exer vessel. Finally, the Ethel chirped in agreement. With a flurry of activity, Christopher and the Ethel repurposed the escape pod. Time blurred as they worked, fueled by adrenaline and a desperate hope. Just as the Exer ship loomed large enough to fill the viewport, casting a menacing shadow over their vessel, they were ready. "Are you sure about this, Christopher?" the Ethel chirped, its bioluminescent glow flickering with trepidation. Christopher nodded, his jaw set. "There's no other way." He climbed into the modified escape pod, the familiar controls a comfort in this chaotic situation. With a deep breath, he initiated the launch sequence. He felt a jolt as the pod separated from the Ethel vessel, a lone beacon of defiance hurtling towards the monstrous Exer ship. The Exer guns roared, spitting fire towards the tiny escape pod. But before they could connect, the pod pulsed with an otherworldly light, fueled by the Ethel's desperate energy channeled through the repurposed systems. A shimmering shield enveloped the pod, deflecting the Exer fire. A tense standoff ensued. The Exer ship, momentarily stunned, hovered menacingly. Christopher, a lone warrior in a cobbled-together weapon, held his breath, waiting for the next move. The fate of two species hung in the delicate balance of an experimental shield and a man's courage. The standoff stretched into an agonizing eternity. Christopher watched as the Exer ship seemed to debate its next move. Perhaps the unexpected resistance had thrown them off balance. Suddenly, the Exer ship lurched, emitting a guttural groan from its depths. On the viewport, a series of explosions ripped across its hull, flames erupting from several points. Confusion replaced the Exer's menacing presence. Their communication channels crackled with panicked squawks. Then, with a final, earth-shattering roar, the Exer ship veered off course, limping away into the vastness of space, leaving behind a trail of debris. Relief washed over Christopher, so powerful it almost knocked him unconscious. He sent a wave of gratitude towards the Ethel vessel, now bathed in a soft, celebratory glow. The bioluminescent eyes of the Ethel shone a vibrant green, chirps of joy filling the communication channel. They had won. Against all odds, a human and a peaceful alien race had repelled a terrifying invader. The aftermath was a whirlwind of activity and tearful goodbyes. The Ethel, their gratitude boundless. The chance to send Christopher back to Earth is now a priority once more. A sense of nervous anticipation bubbled within him. He was returning not just as a survivor, but as a bridge between two worlds. The Ethel gifted him a small device, a communicator that would allow him to stay in touch, a tangible link to his newfound friends. As the craft descended towards Earth, a familiar tremor of excitement ran through him. The blue marble grew larger, details sharpening, the swirling clouds, the vast oceans, the continents like familiar scars. He felt a pang of fear. How would humanity react to his story? Would they believe him? Would they embrace the Aethel, or fear them? The landing was a blur of activity. Military personnel swarmed the craft, their faces etched with disbelief and suspicion. Days turned into weeks as Christopher underwent rigorous debriefings. He recounted his ordeal, the Aethel, their technology. The scientists were enthralled, the military skeptical. But the communicator proved to be the key. Live images streamed from the Aethel ship, showcasing their world, their advanced technology. A tremor of awe ran through the world leaders gathered around the screen. Here was proof beyond a shadow of a doubt. Humanity wasn't alone. The decision was unanimous. A diplomatic mission would be formed, led by Christopher. He would return to the moon, not as a lone survivor, but as humanity's envoy. He would bridge the gap, ensuring a future of peaceful coexistence between Earth and the Aethel. As the spacecraft blasted off, carrying Christopher and a team of scientists back to the moon, he looked back at the receding Earth. He wasn't just an astronaut anymore. He was a pioneer, an evidence to human resilience, and the boundless potential of first contact. His journey, that began with a terrifying crash landing, had become the dawn of a new era, an era of exploration, advancement, and perhaps, finally, a chance for humanity to reach for the stars, not alone, but alongside a kindred spirit in the vast cosmic ocean.